So Connolly is the primary sector of the Inclusion and Wellbeing Service, and if we have a child that we're working with who has a crisis or a trauma and we want to support them as a whole service, we'll come together in an approach where we get together and possibly have a meeting about that child. We look at what their needs and interests are, think about what support they're going to need to be put in place and what's going to help them to kind of build a positive destination for them and to get them back into learning through the obviously experiences and outcomes, but to do it in a way that's focused very much a GIRFEC approach. It's about caring about them and what they need. We will then get together and look at an actual timetable that could be put together for that pupil. We'll then think about bringing the family into that discussion, talking about their needs and their interests, sometimes within the local community near where the child stayed, sometimes closer to the school environment, outdoor activities, all the things that we think might engage them, and we just want it to be a positive experience. We're very much at Connolly about building positive relationships with staff. So a lot of the times the activities are based on kind of one or two members of staff building up that trusting relationship, letting that pupil know that they're in a safe learning environment. A lot of the time the traditional kind of learning within a classroom just isn't working for them. They need to almost get ready to learn rather than being in a position where they're in a classroom, sitting traditionally in front of the smartboard and speaking to the teacher. So we do a lot of activities linked with the larder, linked with going out to outdoor activities within, say, Beecraigs Country Park, doing activities like fishing, dog walking, all of these kind of elements that we bring in. We've also recently started developing therapeutic approaches within the school. So we're looking at introducing, we had the Dogs Trust come to school and do a visit, and now we're introducing kind of dog sessions in the school where they're coming in and just spending some time with the dog, doing some walking, taking care of it and looking at kind of how that nurture really affects and has a positive impact on the pupils in the school as well. We've just recently organised to take on an art therapist within the school. He's going to come in one day a week and do sessions with pupils on a therapeutic basis and kind of with parental support as well to kind of bring that forward. We have a huge emphasis in Connolly on the presumption of mainstream for each of our pupils, and we want that connection to always be there from whenever they start with us. So we constantly have dialogues with mainstream school to make sure that connection is there, but also we have an integration plan which is very robust in place for each individual child, whereby they always have a connection and they have at least a session a week in their mainstream school supported by us. And the early intervention team is a big part of that, because a lot of those staff members help to support that so that it can take place, because it means them obviously being transported to the mainstream school, making sure that the activities and what they're doing in those mainstreams are ideal for those children at that time, and that it's something that builds up those relationships. So not only the relationships positive within Connolly, but also that bond is there with their mainstream school, so that when that child gets to the point where they are ready to go back to their mainstream school, and they're able to kind of be able to take part in that traditional education again, that bond is there and that relationship's there and they're ready to take that forward. But without the team being together as a whole service, that would not have happened before. It would have been a much tighter situation, whereas now we're able to put those things in place and to really support those children. And there's lots of evidence to show that that connection with their mainstream school is highly important and something very personal to the children that needs to be maintained both in primary and in secondary.